So at the beginning of the year, I decided to finally do something I've always wanted to. I got my scuba certification. I was introduced to Child of Beach Cities Scuba in Laguna, and I began my PADI open water dive course with them. The course consists of an e-learning component and a final exam before you can even move on to the confined dive training in a pool, followed by 4 open water dives, and by the end, hopefully you're certified.
Good. Perfect.
But first things first, we had to get familiar with the gear, which consists of the cylinder, BCD, and regulator. We had to assemble it and disassemble it 5 times before moving into the pool. Beach Cities Scubas gave us some old wetsuit rentals to use for the pool training. It was quite the struggle to get in there. Luckily, I was gifted my own wetsuit as an early birthday present for the open water dives.
Alright, so first things first, just lay back in the water. Feel how floaty you are in this wetsuit.
Before putting on the rest of our kit, we go ahead and put on our weight belt. Oh, boy, do I have some bruises left from that thing. Though I do bruise like a peach, so it's really not that bad. So we suited up and began training with our instructor Josh. He was incredibly patient with us.
No one can remember that order, so I'm going to give you a little story to remember by. Bruce Willis rocks. Good? Everybody good?
First thing, we did a quick check of our weight and trim underwater. We practiced our breathing techniques to control our buoyancy once underwater. It's really calming controlling your buoyancy with just your breathing.
I feel like I have to practice all of this a lot more because I'm like forgetting really basic things. And I know it too.
Once again, we practiced getting in and out of our gear, but this time at the surface of the water.
Now, this is tired diver toe. This isn't dead diver toe. So your buddy who's tired can help you kick. They're not dead. Good. And then when you want to turn around and go to the other side, you just...
We also did an emergency weight belt drop.
Stay up. Hit that weight belt. Yes! Exactly like that. Perfect. Nice.
There was a brief lesson on free diving and snorkel clearing.
Make sure that she's safe, right? You safety, buddy. Make sure she's not going to drown on you. Yes. Excellent.
And these were just a few of the skills that we practiced in our pool training.
8 laps.
2.
And I was so tired after the 6 hours in the pool that the 8 laps to prove that we're savvy swimmers was just miserable.
What are you doing?
Diving done. Just gotta break down everything. And then we gotta go in the ocean. Day 1 done. So it's 5:50 a.m. and we're just waiting for the dive shop to open so I can get my gear and go on my first open water dive.
Perfect.
Trying to jump up and down, trying to get in that last one. Feeling pretty snazzy in my new wetsuit. Our dive site was Shaw's Cove, which was just a short walk from the dive shop.
Fins in your left hand, and your regulator handy in your right. Good. All right, good.
So Josh happened to be scheduled as the instructor for the open water dives, which was really reassuring for my first 2. It's a really beautiful location and it has a nice little reef to explore. The open water dives gives us the opportunity to demonstrate our skills and just experience the ocean. Here you can see me recovering my regulator. I guess the dive shop underestimated how much weight I needed for the dive, and Josh had to give me a couple weights to both my ankles. After going through a number of skills, we began to explore Shaw's Cove a bit. Unfortunately, the visibility was pretty poor, so we didn't have a whole lot to see. Coming out of the water was difficult enough with the kit on my back, but then the added weight around my ankles would just made it so much harder. All I could think was just, don't be the person who falls on her face. After a short surface interval, we went to complete our second dive. Pretty good way to end the day. Here's me and my buddies from the first 2 dives, and our instructor Josh. Alrighty, so last 2 open water dives, and hopefully at the end we're certified. So once again, we gear up and walk down to Shaw's Cove. Carly was my instructor for the last 2 dives, and she's awesome. With the visibility much improved from the previous dive, we were able to explore Shaw's Cove a lot more. There was a really friendly sheep's head fish who followed us throughout our dive. Alright, we did it! It was such a wonderful experience and I'm already planning my next dive. Here's me and my dive buddies from the second 2 dives and our instructor Carly. So the whole reason I wanted to get certified was to spend as much time in the ocean as humanly possible, and the whole experience was absolutely amazing. I highly recommend it. Would you do the PADI open water dive course? Let me know in the comments, and I'll be sure to add links to the dive shop and some of my gear down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.